What's up, YouTube? I am back with another YouTube video. It is Natea Tanique King, Change the World, or Datron in it, bitch. Okay, so today I have decided to present my fave book to you guys, and it is this one. It is by Joel Osteen, and it is called Empty Out the Negative. I really love how it looks. The plus and the minus signs is super cute to me. And this is actually it's the second book that I ever read all the way through in my entire life. The first one was a Junie B. Jones book. And this is the second book that I ever read all the way through. And it actually changed my life. This is my third time. I've read it 3 times, my third time reading it. It really helped me realize that you have to empty out the negative, and I just want to get on here and share this greatness with you guys. I picked 3 parts of the book that were my favorite. Well, I'm not even gonna say my favorite because it's a really nice book. All of it is my favorite. It's my favorite book, so I picked 3 really meaningful parts out of the book that I like to share from me to you, and I know you guys will enjoy it. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, the first part that I will be sharing with you all is page 27 out of chapter 2. It is called Victory is Already Promised. This is what happened to the Israelites when Moses sent 12 men to spy out the promised land. After 40 days, 10 spies came back and said, "Moses will never defeat them. The people are huge. They are like giants. We don't have a chance." God had already promised them the victory. He had already said that this was their land. But notice what they were thinking: weak, defeated, limited, fearful thoughts. The 2 spies, Joshua and Caleb, came back with a different report. They said, "Moses, we are well able to take the land. Yes, the people are big, but we know our God is bigger." I like to stop the video at this time and moment and say, feel free to ignore the religion in the book. If you are a religious person, this is right up your alley. This is for you. But feel free to ignore the religion. Feel free to ignore the terms and, whoever they're calling their God. Feel free to ignore that. If you don't believe in that, that's fine. But understand that there is truth and behind what's being said. All right, I'm going to get back into it. Yes, the people are big, but we know our God is bigger. Let us go in and take it at once. What's interesting is that they saw the same giants as the other 10 spies. Joshua and Caleb saw the same problems, the same opposition, the same land, but instead of thinking defeated thoughts, they chose to think power thoughts. They weren't any bigger than the other spies. They didn't have any more training, more experience, or more weapons. The only difference was their thinking. The negative report from the 10 spies began to spread throughout the Israelite camp. Before long, all 20 million people who had escaped slavery in Egypt were afraid and worried. They said, "Moses, let's go back to Egypt. Let's go back to being slaves. That's how powerful our thoughts are." 10 men infected the rest of the people, and they ended up wandering in the desert for the next 40 years. Be careful how you think. Don't get infected and miss your destiny. Are you one of the 10 spies? "I can't beat this illness. I can't accomplish my dream. I don't have the connections. I had this big setback at work that's going to ruin my business. None of the challenges you are facing is a surprise to God. You wouldn't be facing it if you couldn't handle it. As with the Israelites, He has already promised you the victory. The Apostle Paul says, "Thanks be to God who always causes us to triumph." He didn't say some of the time or most of the time. He said always, all of the time. It may be tough now, but keep the right perspective. Victory is in your future. Healing is in your future. Abundance is in your future. And freedom is in your future. The giants may be big, but our God is bigger. The obstacle may be high, but our God is most high. A virus may be powerful, but our God is all powerful. I'm asking you to be a Joshua, be a Caleb. Think power thoughts, think can-do thoughts, think victory thoughts. Don't look at how big the problem is, look at how big your God is. He parted the Red Sea. He closed the mouths of lions, and he brought the dead back to life. That obstacle is no match for him. He didn't bring you this far to leave you. When you believe all things are possible, get your thoughts going in the right direction. The scripture says, when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will rise up a barrier against him. You're not fighting this battle on your own. The most powerful force in the universe is fighting for you, pushing back forces of darkness, keeping that sickness from taking you out, moving the wrong people out of the way, opening doors that no man can shut. All through the day, you need to say, I am well able. I have can-do power. I will overcome this obstacle. I will defeat this sickness. I will rise out of this lack and struggle. I will accomplish my dreams. When you think and speak like that, the creator of the universe goes to work and miracles are set in motion. In the side box it says, once again, don't look at how big the problem is. Look at how big your God is. Next, I'll be sharing with you all page 31 out of, once again, chapter 2. And the name of chapter 2 is called Power Thinking. This section is called Don't Think Like Everyone Else Does. It's significant that 10 spies were negative and 2 were positive. It's about the same today. 80% of people will be negative and 20% will be positive. 80% will focus on how big the problem is and live afraid. They'll tell you how you won't get well and how you should just settle where you are. If you're going to fulfill your destiny, you have to go against the grain. You can't just fit in and be afraid like most people, or complain like your coworkers, or be negative like your neighbor. God is looking for Joshuas. He's looking for Caleb's. He's looking for people who stand out. He's looking for people who believe when it seems impossible and who aren't discouraged by how big the opposition is. If this is going to happen, you have to guard your mind, because negative news spreads faster than good news. Joshua and Caleb said, "We are well able." That news didn't go anywhere. When people heard that the giants were too big, that they didn't have a chance, That news spread like wildfire throughout the camp. Negative thinking is contagious. All around us, there's negative news with analysis telling us how bad the sickness is, how bad the economy is, what might happen, and how it can get much worse. I'm not faulting them. They're doing their job. It's good to be informed, but you can't let that poison stay in your spirit. If you keep dwelling on that, you're going to end up afraid, worried, panicked, and thinking you're not going to make it. When you dwell on negative thoughts, it becomes a cycle that keeps drawing in more fear, more worry, and more defeat. The prophet Isaiah says, "Do not think like everyone else does. Don't be afraid that some plan conceived behind closed doors will be the end of you. Do not fear anything except the Almighty, the Lord Almighty. If you fear Him, you need fear nothing else. He will keep you safe. You don't have to fear a virus or fear what the economy is going to do or fear the future. Just keep honoring God and He will keep you safe. He'll defeat your enemies. He'll do what medicine can't do. He'll turn your child around. He'll free you from that addiction. God says you should not think like everyone else does. Don't think like the 10 spies. When the majority are afraid, worried, and negative, you have to be on the offense and say, no, I'm not falling into that trap. I'm not going to think weak, defeated thoughts. I'm going to think power thoughts. I know that my God is still on the throne. I know that His being for me is more than the world being against me. I am well able to accomplish my dream. I will defeat this addiction. I will outlast this opposition. I have strength for all things. Out of those 2 million people, the only ones who ever made it to the promised land were Joshua and Caleb. It's not a coincidence that they were the only ones who thought power thoughts. You can't reach your destiny thinking negative, limited thoughts. All right, that was the end of that one. All right, last but not least, I will be presenting to you all page 62 out of chapter 3. And this chapter is named A Fresh New Attitude. All right, let's get into it. Oh, in the section that I will be presenting is called The Arrangement in Your Mind. A 92-year-old man was moving into a home for seniors. Although he could see images, he was legally blind. His wife of 70 years had just passed away. After he waited patiently in the lobby, a young nurse came and took him to his room. As he maneuvered his walker through the hallways, she began to describe the details of his room. She told how it had a beautiful window and a nice couch and a desk area. Right in the middle of her description, he interrupted her and said, "I love it, I love it, I love it." She laughed and said, "Sir, you haven't seen the room yet. Wait just a moment. We're almost there." He said, "No, whether I like my room or not doesn't depend on how the furniture is arranged. It depends on how my mind is arranged. That's the way we should live life. I've already made up my mind to enjoy this day. I've already made up my mind to have a blessed year. Life is too short to live it sour, discouraged, and letting our circumstances dictate our attitude. Every morning you have to make the decision. This is the day the Lord has made. I'm going to live it in faith. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to see the good. I'm going to make the most of this day. That man could have been sour because he had lost his sight, bitter because his wife had passed, and discouraged because he was moving out of his house. He learned this secret. Every day he put on a fresh new attitude. Joel, I had a bad childhood. My spouse walked away, and I came down with an illness. We can all find reasons to have a chip on our shoulder, to live sour. You have to let things go. What happened in your past cannot change what God has in your future. God wouldn't have allowed it if it was going to keep you from your destiny. But if we go around discouraged and asking, why did this person do me wrong? Why did I lose a loved one? Why did my business slow down? It will sour our attitude and keep us from the new things God has in store. The scripture says, rain falls on the just and the unjust. No one is exempt from difficulties. But if you stay in faith, that setback is going to set you up for God to show out in your life. Instead of being sour, put on a new attitude. God, you said you would give me beauty for ashes. You said you would take what was meant for my harm and turn it into my advantage. So Lord, I thank you that I'm not just coming out, but I'm coming out better. And that concludes my sharings of Empty Out the Negative. I hope you guys enjoyed this book. I got this at Walmart for, I'm gonna say about $20 even after tax. You can go get that. I'm so glad that I decided to get this book because I was gonna put it back, but I decided to give myself a gift that day and get myself a book. So this is what I got, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Y'all empty out the negative.